Republicans are urging Brett Kavanaugh's accuser to reconsider testifying before Congress without an FBI probe into her allegation of sexual assault. Christine Blasey Ford's lawyers sent a letter to GOP Senator Chuck Grassley Tuesday. They said their client's claim against the Supreme Court nominee needs to be examined in a nonpartisan manner, adding, quote, as the Judiciary Committee has recognized and done before, an FBI investigation of the incident should be the first step in addressing her allegations, end quote. The Judiciary Committee chairman responded Wednesday.
Where I'm focused right now is doing everything that we can to make Dr. Ford comfortable with coming before our committee, either in an open session or a closed session or a public or a private interviews. That's 4 different ways she can choose to come.
Senator Grassley asked for Blasey Ford's lawyers to respond by Friday about whether their client plans to appear before Congress. Ayesha Rascoe joins us now from Washington to talk about this. She's a White House correspondent for NPR. Always good to see you. Any indication, as far as you can see, that the White House would actually call for an FBI investigation before this hearing or at any point?
No indication at this point. President Trump was asked about this morning, and he was pressed on this repeatedly, and he said no, he didn't see the need to ask the FBI. He kind of claimed that this isn't what they do. The White House could ask them to reopen the background check, but President Trump said that Kavanaugh had already been through 6 background checks by the FBI, and this wasn't brought up, and he didn't see a need to open it up again. And he basically said that this is going to be up to the Senate, that he thinks that they would be better placed to look into this.
And what about those multiple background checks? Do we know at all if in that vetting process this allegation was at least mentioned or on their radar?
It's not clear, but from everything that has been reported, this was not on the radar. This was not something that came up. Now, obviously, Ford said that she hadn't really talked to a lot of people about these allegations, so it might not be surprising that this hadn't come up before. And so that's kind of the issue with the background checks. If you have an allegation where a lot of people didn't know about it, it might not come up.
Now, I'm going to ask you to do the impossible because this is all, in a way, uncharted territory to some extent. If Dr. Blasey Ford does not agree to testify in public on Monday, as seem to be the current indications, because, you know, her team wants this FBI investigation, does Judge Kavanaugh still get his vote? I mean, what happens in that scenario?
You know, it's very hard to predict the future, but right now it seems like that's what Republicans are leaning towards. You have even Senator Collins and Senator Corker and other people who had been sympathetic to Ford and saying that she needed to be heard and saying that they needed to hold up on the vote, saying, well, if she's not going to go ahead, if she's not going to come forward, then we probably just need to move on. We need to kind of go on with the process. So it seems like you have Republicans setting the stage to try to move ahead. The question is there going to be a pushback against that from the public? And will they really want to take the risk of going ahead with this vote when there's kind of this cloud hanging over the situation?
And speaking of clouds and things close to President Trump, the president attacked Jeff Sessions this week, saying, quote, I don't have an attorney general. This is in an interview with The Hill. He then elaborated on that comment Wednesday when he was in front of cameras. Let's quickly listen to what he said.
I'm disappointed in the attorney general for numerous reasons, but we have an attorney general. I'm disappointed in the attorney general for many reasons, and you understand that.
Okay, you understand that, but maybe some people listening don't. What are these numerous reasons beyond the Attorney General's move to recuse himself from anything connected to the Russia probe?
The Russia probe seems to be the main thing, but Trump has also brought up illegal immigration. I think he may make the argument that he feels like maybe Sessions hasn't been tough enough. Many would argue that Sessions has been very tough when it comes to illegal immigration, but that was one of the things that Trump listed in his interview that he wasn't pleased with. But the driving force over and over again that Trump comes back to is this idea of the recusal and him not basically standing up for Trump when all of these investigations are going on.
And what is it that's keeping the president from firing his attorney general? We know that some of his Republican allies have said that would be a step too far. You do have midterm elections, roughly 50 days away. Is it the perceived blowback? I mean, what is it that's keeping him from pulling the trigger on that right now?
You know, he was asked about why not just fire Sessions, and he kind of just dodged the question, said that the administration's looking at a lot of things, and then went on to talk about like the economy. But I think what is holding him back is just that he doesn't want to have to deal with that before the midterms. He's been warned by Republicans that it's going to be hard to get someone confirmed, and you don't want that type of scandal going into these elections. Now, some Republicans, including Lindsey Graham, have signaled that after the midterms, perhaps he could get rid of Sessions, and that, you know, Lindsey Graham said that he deserves to have an attorney general that he can be confident in. But either way, when he does fire Sessions, if he moves ahead with it, it's going to be a huge deal. And trying to get somebody else into that position and get them confirmed is going to be difficult.
Right. I mean, any president can dismiss their attorney general, but there are consequences. And if this took place after the midterm elections, perhaps that would mitigate some of the cost. Lastly here for you, the Director General of the World Trade Organization said on Wednesday that these trade wars between the U.S. and China continue to escalate. And he added, quote, "I'm very concerned, to be honest. I don't think it's over. They have a lot of ammunition and it can expand to other areas beyond just tariffs." Do we know if the White House has a strategy to end the escalation? Because some senior officials in the White House have indicated that this could be quite costly.
It doesn't seem like there's a strategy to bring it to a close. President Trump has argued over and over that he feels that the U.S. is in a better position to weather the storm. He argues that because the economy is doing well, this is the time to get into a trade war, and that trade wars are easy to win. And so he seems to feel like that the U.S. can survive a little bit of pain, that China would not be able to deal with a full-out trade war, that they're going to suffer more, and that basically that will drive them to the negotiating table. It hasn't happened yet, and it's not really clear whether China is going to suffer enough economic pain that they will want to give major concessions to the U.S.
And what about just your typical American in their pocketbooks? With midterms so close, how big of an issue will the economy be for President Trump as far as boosting Republican turnout and maintaining as much control of both chambers of Congress as possible?
The economy is a huge deal, and the White House has been cognizant of this. So when they put on these latest tariffs on Chinese products, they made sure that it wasn't as high. It wasn't 25%. It was just 10%, because they didn't want to cause as much pain to U.S. consumers. And they gave some exemptions to certain products. So they are mindful of this, and they also had that sort of bailout for farmers. So they know that this could cause pain, and they don't want that to play into the midterms.
All right. Ayesha Rascoe, thank you very much for your time joining us from our bureau in D.C.